I want to keep it moving. Get this white laid down on the wing so I can continue with this color scheme. Speaking of the color scheme, I was checking a fuselage out and I noticed something that I just had to change. And that's the green thread that I had on the folding propeller. Initially, when I put the green on, I was thinking of a more traditional cream color, orange, maybe mixed in with white. And then I came up with this. Has to be black. That pops. Couple things to point out, laying out a color scheme like this. I knew I wanted traditional looking, long tapered stripes. I was thinking about this shape coming off the nose, and I don't know why I thought of this, and then threw in the diamond. And I talked about echoes. This was just an accent on the rudder, which is an echo of that. Just thought it'd look good. The white diamond with the black surround. And when I got to the wingtips, I knew I wanted to flip the colors. Going with the white wing, red fuselage. I knew that, but I did not expect it to look like this. I was thinking about tapered black line coming down leading edge and curling back like this, which is a traditional look with a red tip. And I just picked up this template and I laid it on here. And then I was like, wow, this will work. This section up here for the stabilizer and this section here, I just got lucky with that, will work as far as lengthwise on the wing. So another thing I thought about was on these wingtips, stopping the black and red about 1/8 inch in from the edge. And then I ended up wrapping it. So I have it wrapped right to there. So looking down from the top, you see the red and black and white all the way. So that was just a choice. It's made sense. I think it's a better choice. But I will admit, so much of this just comes down to, like I said, working it out. I think I got a little bit lucky. This is no question was a must do. So it's coming together. This wing is an under cambered airfoil, and so this is a completely different treatment of laying down the covering. For each section, so from here to here, we're just dealing with this under camber curve. There's also a critical difference as far as putting this covering on. I'm taking these sections of covering and just laying them flat into this curve. Then I am just ironing down the leading edge with it laying flat and relaxed like that into the under camber. I don't pull it across as far as stretching the covering, but I go through the under camber and I iron down the spars and the trailing edge with it just laying in there. Then I go through and I iron down all the ribs. So I'm talking iron it down, rub it in, nail it down. The worst thing can happen is when you shrink an undercambered airfoil is for this covering to stretch straight across and pull up off there. You'll never get it back down. I'll go ahead and cover the undercamber, bottom side of this wing, in sections of covering. Center section, the inner panels, and the wing tips. They'll all be separate pieces of covering. Here is a good point to show you what I mean by doing these sections. So here are two sections that I got ironed onto the wing. The finished wing is going to look like just a seam right here, overlapped. But if I ran this piece right here, if I just ran it over to here and over to here and simply cut it off, it wouldn't have enough purchase. It'd just be ironed down with balsa lock on the thickness of the rib. What I am doing, each section, I am wrapping the covering. Then this next section, I overlap it. So that's brushing down some balsa lock after you make this wrap right here. So this section is wrapped around both sides of these ribs right here and iron down. Then brush on some balsa lock, go to the next section. So I'll do that all the way from the center, working out on each half of the wing, and I'll have a seam like this at every break. So here's your dihedral break, here's your polyhedral break. So here is what I do when I get to where it's hanging off the end of this rib. I wrap the covering around the leading edge and the trailing edge, and then I cut these off, cut it out so it can fold between the ribs, and then I'll have to go in here and brush balsa lock onto these tabs, iron them down. With this ironed down, I'll brush balsa lock along here for the next piece to lay over it. So that's the order for an undercambered wing if you want it to stay down into the undercamber and then also not creep on these seams when you do separate sections of the wing like this. Here is the wing with all 5 pieces of covering on the bottom. I have all the undercamber ironed down, and the edges are ironed down all the way around, and they have cold. Here's a look at the seams using these 5 separate panels of covering. Look like a conventional seam with just a 1/4 inch overlap, but of course we've also wrapped it around the edge of the ribs. I haven't trimmed this tip off yet, just to show how far you can stretch it around the corner when you allow yourself some extra covering to work with. Here is the other tip, all trimmed. So I'll do the same on the top, allow myself some extra covering, wrap it around from the top to get that overlap on the tips. cover's cut out, the wing. Some boss lock on the back of these, and see what this color scheme looks like. It is